I haven't done solving quadratics by factoring, so we're going to go over that. So we're going to move all terms to one side and set it equal to 0. And then we are going to factor. Remember GCF, but in this case, we probably won't need a GCF. And then we are going to set each factor equal to 0. So each factor that's going to have a value with a variable, we're going to set it equal to 0. And we're going to solve for each x value. And then the final step is we're going to write our solution set with the squiggly brackets. Okay, so for this first one, we're going to look for our GCF. So when we're looking for our GCF, there's two different ways to solve this. So we can factor out a GCF. So if we do our box method, how do we have an x with both of these? So we pull that x out. So how do we go from x to x squared? Okay, that's going to be x times x is going to give us x squared. And so how do we go from x to 9x? Okay, we're going to need a plus 9, all equals 0. So we're going to have x plus 9, all equal to 0. So that was our factoring. Step 2. So now we set each factor equal to 0. So x is going to equal 0, and x plus 9 is going to equal 0. So this one already equals 0, and then we have to do minus 9 on both sides to get x by itself. So that's going to go to 0. We're going to left with x equals negative 9. So then our solution set is going to be x equals 0, negative 9. For number 2, our terms are already moved all the way to one side and set equal to 0. So if we're factoring, we notice that we could probably pull 4 out of both of these, and we have an x in common with both of these as well. So 4x is going to be our GCF, our greatest common factor. So to get from 4x to 4x squared, we just need an x. And to get from 4x to minus 8x, we just need a minus 2, and it's all equal to 0. So we're going to have 4x, x minus 2 equal to 0. And then we're going to set each factor equal to 0. So 4x equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0. So then we divide both sides by 4. So x is going to equal 0. And we add 2 to both sides. So that goes to 0, and x is going to equal 2. So our solution set is x equals 0, 2. For number 3, these are already moved over, and we can just do either we can do this 2 ways because this is already done. So we can factor it, or we can move the 4 over to the other side. So I'm going to show both ways. So if we factor it, that means we need to take the square root, and we know that the square root of 4 is plus 2 and minus 2. So we also know that the square root of x squared is going to be x times x. So that's how we factor that out. So that was step 2. And they're both equal to 0, so we both have to set each of these factors equal to 0. So x plus 2 is going to equal 0, and x minus 2 is going to equal 0. This is just the difference of squares. So x is going to equal -2 for this one because we got to subtract 2 on both sides. And this one is going to equal +2 because we have to add 2 to both sides. So then our final answer for our solution set is going to be -2, 2. So this next one is already all on one side, so that's done. So we need to factor, and we notice there's not a greatest common factor, but both of these are perfect squares. So if we take the square root here and the square root here, square root of 9x squared is just going to be 3x, and then square root of 25 is going to be plus 5 minus 5, because when we get a square root of a number, it's going to be plus or minus, and it's all equal to 0. And so when we set each of these equal to 0, we're going to have 3x plus 5 equal to 0, and 3x minus 5 equal to 0. So that means we have to subtract 5 from both sides for this one. That cancels out. We'll have 3x equals -5. Divide both sides by 3. And our x is going to equal -5/3. And then on this one, we have to add 5 on both sides. And that'll cancel out, and we'll have 3x equals 5. Divide both sides by 3. And that cancels out. So our solution set is going to be x equals -5/3 and +5/3. Okay, for this next one, step 1 is also already done because it's set equal to 0. So step 2, we need a factor. So the best way to factor for this, we can do tic-tac-toe. So if we do tic-tac-toe, we're going to have our x squared here, and then our 21 here, and then down here, we need it to equal -10x. So x squared times 21 is going to give us 21x squared. So factors of 21 that are going to give us a -10x, if we have -7x and a -3x, that'll multiply to give us a +21x squared, but it will add to give us a -10x. And we know we can only use x times x to give us x squared. So we're going to need a -7 to give us -7x, and we're going to need a -3 to give us -3x. So then these are our factors. So we're going to have x minus 7, x minus 3, all equal to 0. So then we have to set both of these equal to 0. So x minus 7 is going to equal 0. X minus 3 is going to equal 0. So add 7, add 7, add 3, cancel, cancel. X is going to equal 7. X is going to equal 3. So our solution set is going to be x equals 7 and 3. For this one, step 1 is also already done, but we have to factor, but we can see that 2 can go into every single one of these, right? So if we factor it out, because we can't have a 2x because this constant doesn't have it. So to get 2x squared, we need just x squared, sorry y'all. And then we just need a minus x to get minus 2x. And then we just need a minus 12 to get 24. So we're going to have 2 parentheses x squared minus x minus 12 all equal to 0. So then we would do our tic-tac-toe. X squared, -12, and then down here we're going to have negative x. So that's just -1x. So we're going to have -12x squared up here. So factors of that we're going to have a negative and a positive, but we're going to have a bigger negative number. So x times x is going to give us x squared. But if we have a bigger negative number, say negative 4, but a positive 3, that's going to give us our negative 1x. So we need negative 4 to get negative 4x, and we need a positive 3 to get positive 3x. So those are going to be our factors and our two binomials. So we're going to have that 2 still. We're going to have x minus 4 and then x plus 3 all equal to 0. So then we have to set both of these equal to 0, but not the 2 because it doesn't have a variable. So x minus 4 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0. So we need to add 4 on both sides. So x is going to equal 4, subtract 3 from both sides. So x is going to equal negative 3. So our solution set is going to be x equals 4, negative 3. Okay, on this next one, it's also already set equal to 0, so that's good. So the next thing we just have to do is factor, but these don't have a GCF. So we're going to have to do the tic-tac-toe method. So we need to put our 3x squared here and our negative 30 here. So that's going to give us negative 90x squared. And we put our negative 13x down here. And then we have to find factors of 90 that are going to give us negative 13x. Now, we're going to need a positive and a negative number so that we can get a negative 90, but we're going to need a larger negative number so that we can get the negative 13. But we already know that the only factors of 3 are going to be 3 and 1, so we just need 3x and a 1x. So, the factors that I found of 90, if we have negative 18 times 5, that's going to give us a negative 90. But if we add these together, that's going to give us a negative 13. So if we have negative 18x and a positive 5x, those add up to give us our negative 13. So to get from 3x to negative 18x, we need a negative 6. And to get from x to 5x, we need a positive 5. So those are our factors. So we'll have 3x plus 5, and we'll have x minus 6, all equal to 0. So then we have to set both of these factors equal to 0. So 3x plus 5 equals 0, and x minus 6 equals 0. So subtract 5 on both sides, and we'll have 3x equals negative 5. Divide both sides by 3. That cancels out, and we'll have x equals negative 5/3. And for this one, we just have to add 6 on both sides, so that cancels out. We're left with x equals 6. So our solution set is going to be x equals negative 5/3 and then 6. Okay, for this one, it's already set equal to 0, so we're good. And we need to factor these, but we don't have a GCF. So let's tic-tac-toe. 6x squared, and our minus 4 is here, and our 5x is down here. So negative 4 times 6 is going to give us a negative 24x squared, and we need factors of negative 24 that are going to give us a positive 5. So if we have negative 24 but a positive 5, we have to think of factors that are going to, one, it has to be a positive and a negative, but the positive has to be bigger so that we can have a positive 5. So our best options for these is going to be a positive 8, but a negative 3. So these will add together to give us our positive 5x, but they'll multiply together to give us our negative 24x. So we need to think of factors of 6x squared that are going to give us negative 3 and a 8x. So I'm thinking 2x and 3x, because if we multiply by negative 1, we'll get our negative 3x. And if we multiply by 4, we'll get our positive 8x. So these are going to be our factors. So we're going to have 3x plus 4. And you're going to have 2x minus 1, all equal to 0. So then we have to set both of these equal to 0. So 3x plus 4 equals 0. 2x minus 1 equals 0. Subtract 4, so that cancels out. And you're left with 3x equals negative 4. Divide both sides by 3. And you're left with x equals negative 4/3. And then on this one, we have to add 1 on both sides, so that cancels out. We're left with 2x equals 1. Divide both sides by 2. And we're left with x equals 1/2. So our solution set is going to be x equals negative 4/3 and then 1/2. Okay, so we're continuing on to the back of the page. So we need to set this one equal to 0. So doing that, we just add 5 to both sides, add 5x to both sides. So that goes to 0, and we're left with 2x squared plus 5x equals 0. So this is what we're left with. And we have to now look for a GCF, which the only GCF I see is x. So when we do our little box method, x is the only GCF, so to get from x to 2x squared, we need just a 2x, and to get from x to positive 5, we just need a plus 5. So we're going to have x is equal to 2x plus 5, all equal to 0. So then we set both of these equal to 0. So x is going to equal 0, and 2x plus 5 is going to equal 0. So that's already good. So we just need to subtract 5 from both sides. 2x equals negative 5. Divide both sides by 2. And x is going to equal negative 5 over 2. So our solution set is x equals 0 and negative 5/2. Sorry, I didn't switch up colors when factoring there. But we need to set this one equal to 0 by subtracting x squared from both sides. So our new one, that goes to 0, right? So we're going to have now 6x squared plus 8x equals 0. And now we have to factor this. So both of these are even numbers, so 2 can go into them, and they both have x's. So when we're factoring the greatest common factor for variables, we take the lowest exponent. So we're going to have 2x. So to get 6x squared, we're going to need 3x. 2 times 3 is 6. X times x is x squared. And to get from 2x to plus 8x, we're just going to need plus 4, all equal to 0. So we're going to have 2x parentheses 3x plus 4, all equal to 0. And then we need to set these equal to 0. So 2x needs to be equal to 0, which is just going to give us 0, because 0 divided by 2 is just going to give us 0. And then we're going to have 3x plus 4 equals 0. So we need to subtract 4. And that cancels out. We're going to have 3x equals negative 4. So we need to divide both sides by 3. that cancels out, and x is going to equal negative 4/3. So our solution set is going to be x equals 0 and negative 4/3. Okay, so for this one, we need to subtract x squared, and we need to add 1. So subtract x squared, add 1, so that goes to 0. So we're going to be left with just x squared now, and then we're going to be left with minus 49, all equal to 0. So then we can see that this is a difference of squares. Sorry, let me let it focus. This is a difference of squares because we can take the square root of this and take the square root of this and have a plus or minus. So when we do that, take square root, take the square root. We're going to have x plus 7 and then x minus 7 all equal to 0. So then we have to set both of these equal to 0. So x plus 7 equal to 0 and x minus 7 equal to 0. So we need to subtract 7 from both sides. So that cancels out and x equals negative 7. And add 7 to both sides. So that cancels out and x equals positive 7. So our solution set is going to be x equals negative 7 and positive 7. So I like to have everything on the left side. So I'm going to subtract 81 and add x squared. So subtract 81, add x squared. So I'm going to add x squared, subtract 81. So all of that's going to go to 0. So we're going to have 4x squared minus 81 equals 0. So we can see again, it's also a difference of squares. So when we factor, we can take the square root here and take the square root here. And so square root of 4x squared is going to be 2x. So we're going to have 2x here and 2x here. And then square root of 81 is going to give us plus or minus. So plus or minus 9, all equal to 0. So then we need to set both of these factors equal to 0. So 2x plus 9 equal to 0, and 2x minus 9 equal to 0. So we need to subtract 9, so we're going to have 2x equals negative 9. We're going to add 9, so 2x equals positive 9. Divide both sides by 2. So our solution set is going to be x equals negative 9/2 and positive 9/2. Okay, we're getting down to the last few. So we need to subtract 80 to get this equal to 0. So subtract 80 from both sides. So that goes to 0. We're going to have x squared plus 2x minus 80 all equal to 0. So then we need to factor this. So let's tic-tac-toe it. So we're going to have x squared, then we're going to have negative 80, and then down here we're going to have a positive 2x. So negative 80 times x squared is just negative 80x squared. And so we have to think of factors of 80, negative 80, sorry, to get a positive 2x. So we know x times x is going to give us x squared. But if we have a positive 10x, but a negative 8x, that's going to give us our negative 80x squared, but it's going to give us our positive 2. So to get from x to 10x, we just need 10. And to get from x to negative 8x, we need negative 8. So these are our factors. So we're going to have x plus 10, and then x minus 8, all equal to 0. So we need to set both of these equal to 0. So x plus 10 equal to 0, and then x minus 8 equal to 0. So we need to subtract 10, so it's going to be x equals negative 10. Add 8, so x is going to equal positive 8. I'm going to just do that just in case. Subtract 10, subtract 10, just so you can get a feel for it. And then our solution set is going to be x is equal to -10, +8. Okay, so for this next one, we need to subtract x and subtract 4 on both sides. So subtract x, subtract 4, that all goes to 0. So we're going to be left with x squared plus 10x and then plus 25, all equal to 0. Now, if we factor this out using tic-tac-toe, we're going to have x squared, 25 is here, and then down here we're going to have our positive 10x. So up here we're going to have 25x squared. So we know that 5 times 5 is going to give us 25, and 5 times 5 plus 5 is going to give us 10x. So 5x, 5x, and x times x is going to give us x squared. X squared. So 5 times x is 5x, 5 times x, 5x. So we're going to have x plus 5 and x plus 5. So this is really going to be a double root because we're having to set both of these equal to 0. So x plus 5 equals 0 and x plus 5 equals 0. So we need to subtract 5 from both sides, so that cancels out. So x equals -5, x equals -5. So x equals -5, and it's a double root. For this next one, we need to set it equal to 0. So subtract x squared and add x. Subtract x squared, add x. So that's going to go to 0. We're going to be left with x squared now, and then minus 8x, and then minus 65, all equal to 0. So then we're going to have to factor this, so we're going to need a tic-tac-toe. So we're going to have x squared, and then -65, and then down here we're going to have our -8x. So -65 times x squared is -65 x squared. So then we have to look for factors of -65. That's going to give us a -8. So that means we're going to have a negative and a positive, and the negative is going to have to be bigger so that we can get that -8. So we know x times x is going to give us x squared, but we have to think of factors of -65 that's going to give us that -8. So if we have -13x and then we have a positive 5x, those are factors of -65. They multiply to get this -65x squared, but they add to give us our -8. So to get from here to here, we need -13. To get from here to here, we need positive 5. So we're going to have those as our two binomials. So we're going to have x plus 5 and then x minus 13, all equal to 0. And then we have to set both of these equal to 0 individually. So x plus 5 equal to 0, x minus 13 equal to 0. We have to subtract 5 from both sides. So that cancels out, and x equals -5. Add 13 to both sides. That cancels out, x equals a positive 13. So our solution set is going to be x equals -5, 13. Okay, on this next one, we need to get it equal to 0, so we need to subtract 2 and add 3x. So let's add the 3x with the 41x and subtract 2 from the 98. So that all goes to 0. We're left with 4x squared and then 44x and then plus 96, all equal to 0. So for factoring, we can see that there's a GCF. So our GCF is going to be 4. So to get 4x squared, we're just going to need x squared. And then to get to get 44x, we need to multiply by 11x. And to get 96, we need to multiply by 24. So we're going to have 4 times x squared plus 11x plus 24 all equal to 0. And then we'll factor that using tic-tac-toe. So x squared, and then we'll have 24 up here, so we'll have 24x squared. X times x is going to give us x squared. And then down here, we need multiples of 24 that are going to give us 11x. So the ones that come to mind are going to be 8 and 3, because those are going to add to give us 11x, but they're going to multiply to give us 24. So to get from x to 8x, we're going to need a positive 8, and to get from x to 3x, we're going to need a positive 3. So these are going to be our factors. So we're going to have 4 still, and then x plus 8, and then x plus 3, all equal to 0. So we're going to need to set these equal. So x plus 8 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. So subtract 8 on both sides. X equals negative 8. Subtract 3 on both sides. X equals negative 3. So our solution set for this, I'm just going to write it over here. X equals negative 8 and negative 3. Okay, like I was saying before, I like to put everything on the left side. So I'm going to subtract x and subtract 21. Subtract x, subtract 21. So that's going to go to 0. So we're going to be left with 2x squared minus x minus 21 all equal to 0. Now, they don't have a GCF, so let's just go ahead and tic-tac-toe. We're going to have 2x squared, and then our negative 21 is going to be here. And down here, we're going to have our negative 1x. So the only factors of 2 are 2 and 1, so just 2x and x. And then negative 21 times 2 is going to be negative 42x squared. So then we have to look for factors of negative 42x squared. That's going to give us our negative 1x. So factors I'm thinking of are going to have to be 6 and negative 7, because we have to have a bigger negative number to come out with a negative number. So 6 is going to need to go here because we're going to need a multiple in the middle that's going to give us 6x, because we can't have 7 up here because nothing times 2 is going to give us 7. So the 6x has to be up here, and the negative 7 has to be here. These multiply to give us negative 42, but these add to give us negative 1. So to get from 2x to 6x, we just need 3. And to get from x to negative 7x, we just need negative 7. So we'll cross it. And so we're going to have 2x minus 7. And we're going to have x plus 3. Oop, 3, not 6. 3. Okay, sorry. And then we're going to set both of these equal to 0. So 2x minus 7 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. Let's go ahead and do this one first. Subtract 3 on both sides. X is going to equal negative 3. And then we need to add 7 on both sides for this one. 2x is going to equal 7. Divide both sides by 2. And x is going to equal 7 over 2. So our solution set is going to be x equals 7 over 2 and negative 3. Okay, last one. we just need to subtract x and add 9. Subtract x, add 9, so that goes to 0. We're left with 4x squared minus 12x now, and then plus 9, all equal to 0. So we're going to have to factor this using tic-tac-toe. So we're going to have 4x squared here, and we're going to have a 9, and then down here, we're going to have our negative 12x. So 4 times 9 is 36x squared. Oh, well look at that. If we want a positive 36, but we want a negative 12, we know that 6 times 6 is going to give us 36. So if we have two negative 6's, that will add to give us a positive 12x. I mean a negative 12x, but a positive 36. So if we have 2x times 2x, we can multiply by negative 3 to get our 6. So this is another double root, it looks like, because we'll have 2x minus 3, 2x minus 3, or 2x minus 3 squared. We want to do it that way. And then we need to set both of these equal to 0. So 2x minus 3 equal to 0, 2x minus 3 equal to 0. Add 3 on both sides. So we have 2x equals 3. Divide both sides by 2. And we're left with x equals 3/2. Now we can see that we get the same thing for that. So x is going to be 3/2, and it's a double root. Okay,